Let's assume someone has completed the content creator training with us and now wants to become self-employed. How should they proceed?
If he has successfully completed the content creator training with us, it is important to first develop a vision. He should actually know why he is embarking on this journey. He must be convinced that he is doing the right thing. This means that they must fundamentally ask themselves how they want to communicate, whom they want to address with their services, and what they need to do regularly, or what actions they must take to reach their target audience. Of course, important knowledge in the areas of marketing is essential. Marketing is extremely important when it comes to positioning one's services and products in the market. This means that he needs to develop an understanding, and at the beginning, it might be a bit of figuring out how it is received, which requires time and patience. However, in 2021, he will learn this in the content creator training. This means that he knows exactly which KPIs to focus on and how to read the patterns, and he has learned all of this, allowing him to position the product and service accordingly in the market. Then it takes a bit of time, patience, and nerves. This means it doesn't happen overnight. In the second step, it is very important that once he has his own website, he goes out and introduces himself. It's not just about producing, editing, and uploading videos, but also about making local connections with people. He should involve his friends and network, informing them that he wants to launch his career as a content creator. He should seek help and make his contacts aware that they should share this within their own networks. It is indeed important to also rely on contacts in this context to strengthen one's personal brand. This means that personal development is still a task he must manage, and it is an ongoing process that never ends. This means that he needs to ensure he stays mentally fit and maintains this mental clarity. While he is in the development phase, organization is also very important, of course. So if you want to become self-employed as a content creator or generally as an athlete, sports person, or entrepreneur, you really need to organize yourself well in terms of insurance, finances, and everything else. Because when you generate revenue or make sales, you naturally have to give something back. Everything needs to be organized. Otherwise, there will be problems, and that is very important. This means that it is fundamentally important to create a financial plan and to look at which insurances and costs will arise so that one can remain mentally calm. I believe that when one becomes self-employed, this aspect is often overlooked. If you have order, work in a well-structured manner, work systematically and calculate things nicely, then you also have that mental space. This means that you don't get under pressure, and many just go ahead and do something, advertising here and there, and then they realize that something isn't working out. Once that happens, it becomes a bit difficult to handle because the atmosphere changes, emotions rise, and when you want to produce videos as a content creator or interact with the client, they sense that there is some kind of pressure in the room, and this pressure leads the client to say, "No, I don't want to work with you." Of course, the customer won't directly say no, no, no. Instead, they will come up with an excuse. But fundamentally, I think it is important to get organized, activate the marketing or marketing machinery, monitor the KPIs, and continuously optimize products and services while regularly adjusting the website to meet the needs of the people and the target audience that you have on your radar. Fourthly, personal development, meaning it is not just all of these aspects are interconnected and one should keep developing. I believe you shouldn't feel like, now that I am a content creator, I can do everything, because the market is changing and you must change as well as the needs are changing. So you need to understand the whole thing a bit, and that requires personal development.
Why is personal development so relevant in 2021? Specific field and then acquire the technical aspects to launch my career as a content creator.
Of course you can do that, but your personal brand as a content creator is extremely important because you are primarily selling yourself. So you are in front of the camera, which means you need to appear self-assured, radiate confidence, and have self-awareness. If you present yourself as such a person, then people will perceive that. So if you are unsure and anxious, I can hear that in your voice. I can sense that there are fluctuations, that there is an inner tremor, that there are inconsistencies within you. Discrepancies, meaning there are some inconsistencies within you that I can hear in your voice. As a trainer, I hear this, and that's why the voice is very important. So when I shout something out or convey a message, it becomes audible. I can feel it. And that's why it's important that when you communicate something, you must be confident and convinced. And before you can convince others that you are doing something good, you need to clarify that with yourself first. This means you have to convince yourself, sell things to yourself, and then others will buy it too because they experience it with you. And that is something you have to work on. It means self-confidence. It means building self-confidence. Self-confidence is related to recognizing one's successes and remembering them. This means that small achievements are very important for building self-confidence. This is a huge construction site in Switzerland. Many people have feelings of inferiority. Thousands do not trust themselves, lack self-confidence, feel blocked, and mask this with ignorance and arrogance. That means they try to cover things up by making their investments in material goods, and then somehow try to disguise that. You can hear it when you talk to them. The inner emptiness comes through in their voice. The words have no weight, no power, no strength. And you can hear that as well. This means that a content creator should definitely work on building and strengthening their self-confidence. And he can do this, often recalling the successes achieved in the past. If he does this regularly, meaning he activates the reflection phase again and again, and consciously acknowledges, hey, I experienced this and that, depending on which life phase he is in and how he is emotionally positioned, he might be traumatized. I don't know. But fundamentally, when one works on themselves over a longer period of time, becoming aware of what they have created and what they have achieved, it becomes easier to build, expand, and strengthen self-confidence. And the same goes for self-awareness. This means that as a content creator, I should be aware of what my weaknesses are, where my strengths lie, and what I am interested in. What defines me? What drives me? I should clarify all these questions first before embarking on the journey. That means when I become aware of who I am, what I can do, what interests me, and what I truly want, I can bring that together as a package and accordingly develop products and services to share with the target audience. Because I want to address a target audience, a group of people with my skills, talents, and strengths, with whom I also see my future and with whom I would like to work in the future or be there for them or create something for them. This means that first and foremost, I need to become aware of who I am, what I can do, what I cannot do, and what scares me. All these questions need to be clarified. As a person, I need to feel comfortable in my own skin, in my body. And when I am clear about that, I will radiate this clarity and communicate accordingly.
This is an important saying. To communicate, communication is another step that should be trained independently of personal development. What do you think? Why is communication so important? And how should one train their communication skills in 2021 if they specifically want to act as a content creator?
Yes, communication is lacking in all areas of our lives. We do not communicate. We talk and we do not listen. We listen in, so in instead of at. And I think that is very important. If you want to be successful as a content creator, you have to listen. One must pay attention and try to understand what the person opposite me is trying to convey. What are they telling me? Why are they telling me what they are telling me? These are his motivations. This means that it is also a skill that one must learn, but can also be learned. And it is important to understand that you are communicating at every moment. You communicate digitally, but you also communicate over the phone. And above all, what I have been experiencing, for example, in recent years, is that many people unconsciously make an exclamation mark, thank you. Boom, Exclamation mark. Or you make them an offer, send them a message via email. I did that! Exclamation mark. Instead of saying, for example, Dear Daniel or Dear Hans-Uli or Dear Francesco, I have read this and that here. Thank you very much for your message. Thank you very much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. What would it look like if, or these questions? So one must actually be elegant and clear. Yes, communicating elegantly and clearly. I find this very important in communication. Depending on how I communicate, the person I am speaking to will also provide me with corresponding feedback. This feedback can be harsh, gentle, elegant, clear, or chaotic. Depending on what I send out, it will either be received or ignored, whatever. So it is important that when I want to communicate as a content creator and reach my target audience, I clearly communicate and become aware that my voice also transforms my emotions. That means if I am emotionally agitated or tense inside, it might not be a good idea to produce a video. Here, we are also in the mental space of communication. However, the inner communication automatically triggers something, and these emotions become charged. These emotions are either negative, positive, or in balance. And if I feel excited, angry, tense, or if someone has made me feel ugly or upset, then perhaps I should take a deep breath before setting up the camera and recording something. It is very important to know that the message you are transforming is also being experienced. And you communicate in every moment. This means that if I am in a good mood right now, if I am determined right now, then the participants will perceive it that way too. Therefore, communication is actually the key to building relationships. Relationships can be destroyed. And if, for example, I interact with someone and realize that my values and principles do not align, there is a simple way to make them aware of it. Then say, hey, look, it's really nice of you, I have checked the offer, but it is not suitable for me. Thank you for your time. I definitely wish you much success, but for me it just doesn't feel right. All the best, whatever that may be. So here too, if things don't work out with the business, one shouldn't let emotions boil over and get angry saying, I did my best, why not everywhere? Instead, one should simply understand that the relationship between the two parties may not be a good fit, and the communication must be directed in a way that is elegant and clear. And that in turn has to do with the question of identity. So how do you want to be perceived as a content creator in the market? Do you want to be seen more as a rebel? Then I would suggest you take it easy. Or do you prefer to be perceived as an entrepreneur who communicates everything elegantly? Then you will need to work on these skills, and once you master them, it will become a bit easier. This means that communication should definitely be taken into account, especially if one does not have a good handle on it yet.
You always mention the necessity of reflection, especially when it comes to personal development. In terms of communication, I could also reflect on myself now if I want to improve. The problem I see here is that in our minds we are always right. So when I express something in communication or in a debate, I always understand my own point of view the best, and am convinced that my statements are relevant and correct. How can I improve in this area? Because my own reflection is going to be a bit difficult in this context.
Yes, that's how it is. When I was a child, I grew up with pros around me. I had professionals around me, and I learned what discipline means. I have learned to sit down and copy an article from the newspaper to improve my handwriting. I have acquired these principles or these sub-disciplines or these skills because I have learned discipline. This is something that one must have as a content creator, as an entrepreneur, if they want to be successful in their life. Now, we are in a completely different time and dimension. Today, we have a society that simply wants quick success. And this leads to the possibility that perhaps in this hustle and bustle, in this dynamic, one might not take the time to ask themselves what really has priority. For example, if I want to launch as a successful content creator right now, I would think about what is necessary to remain competitive in the market for the next 10, 15 or 20 years. I wouldn't say I want to start now just because I've completed a content creator training, but rather I would say, what do I need to do to be among the best? Because for me, this is a long-term game. So that means I would say, okay, I need to get organized. I have to work on myself mentally. I need to improve my communication skills. And I need to have a mentor for this process. I need someone to guide me through this process because I may not have the entrepreneurial skills or the experiences. I need to be a pro. It may be the case that someone has an entrepreneur in the family, such as a father or mother. Yes, no problem. Then one can also take advice from him or her. Everything is fine. But basically, I mean, let's be honest. How many people do you know who are entrepreneurs? Yes, that is maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4%. Most people have an employee mindset, and that's not a bad thing. Many do not want to become entrepreneurs. Many want to say, okay, I want a secure life. I want to live like this. The problem with the whole thing is that when you want to change and become an entrepreneur, you have to imagine that you have drawn the routes on your mental map for years and have developed habits. Redirecting or reprogramming these habits to develop an entrepreneurial mindset and become an entrepreneur takes time. So this means that an entrepreneur thinks quite differently. A successful entrepreneur believes that if they want to be among the best, they must develop innovative strength, but also that they want to advance as a pro. And for that, he knows very well that he must constantly develop himself, whether in communication, marketing, or mentally. And for that, he hires a consultant, works either with a mentor, a coach, or a trainer. This means that having someone like Yusen by your side is valuable because they see things from a different perspective. As you said earlier, you are always in the right place and at the right pace in your mind. Yes, but maybe an outsider sees you quite differently, and hey, have you considered that? Did you check that? Why not? And if you did, hey, by the way, I think what you did was really good. I think it's great. This feedback is very important for building self-confidence, strengthening self-awareness, and gaining self-assurance in order to achieve sustainable success. If you don't have that, this feedback, you are always a bit in doubt. Am I on the left or right side? Am I on course or not? I don't know. I haven't had any successes so far. But when someone from Yusan confirms to you that your actions are good, that they are right, and that you are on the right track, then you feel empowered in your actions. And that is very important. That means I would recommend to anyone who might realize during their reflection phase that they are not good at communication, that their relationships may be failing, or that they are experiencing ongoing problems when communicating with someone, to consider whether it would be sensible to work with someone in 2021 who might be an expert in the field of communication, offers communication training, or reads books to further develop themselves, and perhaps in a next step, work with a coach or a mentor. And yes, I would definitely recommend that. First of all, self-reflection, immediately buy books, read them, then try it out. If it doesn't work, definitely keep at it. If you want to be among the best, I would recommend having a professional by your side.